afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your patience. I've been asked by the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Drew, to begin the proceedings, and he'll be with us shortly. So, as you know in the old saying, the boss has issued the orders, and I should comply. Let us all stand for the playing of the national anthem by the EBJ Harmonics. Thank you graciously. Can you remain standing for the prayer to be offered by Pastor Lincoln Connor of the Antioch Baptist Church?
Let us pray. Great God and our Father, creator and sustainer of this great universe, we acknowledge you. Your word says you have been with us from the very beginning, before the worlds were formed or the mountains came forth. And your desire has always been for us to be whole, whole in the material and immaterial parts of our lives. And that is why John declares that, brethren, I wish above all things you would prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. We thank you, God, for the rich legacy of health care you have loaned us in this federation over the years. We thank you for the trailblazers and pioneers. We thank you especially, God, for public health nurses and workers who have worked diligently over the years to ensure the eradication of various diseases. And God, we are so favored and grateful to you for loaning us, God, in this federation, the privilege of being in good health, the privilege to be able to have good drinking water, and so many things that we take for granted. And as we stand on the threshold of the unveiling of this new public health facility, we pray that you would strengthen the hands of those who would engage in this project, that you, God, would give wisdom, you would give insight and direction to this project, that you would see it from the beginning unto the end. And more so, we pray, God, for those who work in the area of healthcare, that you will continue to endow them with compassion and love, wisdom, grace, and understanding. We thank you for every good and perfect gift. And today we commit these proceedings into your hands, and we thank you for allowing everything to go according to your direction. Amen.
Please be seated. Honorable Dr. Joya Clark, Minister of Sustainable Development, Environment and Climate Action and Constituency Empowerment. The Honorable Iselin Phillip, Minister with responsibility for social development and gender affairs, youth empowerment, aging and disability. I also wish to recognize the Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Marcus Natter, Ms. Thelma Richard, Head of Civil Service of St. Kitts and Nevis. I also wish to recognize the wife of Parliamentary Representative, Honorable Conwys Maynard, and his two daughters. His Excellency, Mr. Michael Lin, Ambassador of the Republic of China, Taiwan, to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, permanent secretaries, and other senior government officials, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, other senior government officials within the Ministry of Health, members of the France family, specially invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Curtis Martin, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health, and I bring these remarks. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this significant occasion, the unveiling of the designs for the new climate-smart, digital technology-enabled JNF General Hospital, the nation's hospital. Today is not really about blueprints and architectural renderings. It is more about a vision and the steps forward to a four-phase transformation journey, and they are as follows. 1, building capacity, knowledge, know-how, and skills. 2, incentivizing capability through high performance. Sustainability, ensuring medium to long-term adequacy of resources. And last but not least, healthcare excellence, meeting, exceeding expectations, delivery measurable satisfaction, minimizing illness and injury burdens, improving quality of life, and making a positive economic impact. The road to today began yesterday. We stand on the shoulders of the giants such as our national hero, Sir Joseph Nathaniel France, who is ably represented by his family, including my mentor, Miss Prudence France. Giants in health policy, giants in administration, and giants on the front line of healthcare delivery in community health centers, community environmental health, port health, population health programs such as those in immunization, nutrition, and HIV prevention and control, and in our various institutions. We shall remember the giants because they paved the road since the Buckley's Estate Revolution to today. Today, when we can say to the world that in 2023, we achieved the maternal health and U5 child targets of the 2030 UN Sustainable Development Goals. The journey continues brick by brick. The conversations, networking, planning, and doing have been and is about what the modern, people-centered, high-quality, sustainable, and resilient healthcare infrastructure must be to realize a fit, healthy, productive, and progressive nation. Along the way, the political and policy leadership has insisted that there must be consultations with service users, service providers, and service partners. The new JNF project is proof of concept and intent. The drawings to be realized shortly are the products of extensive and intensive engagement with workers at all levels. In that regard, I wish to single out the leadership of our Director of Health Institutions, Dr. Jensen Morton, and the members of his leadership team for the tremendous work that they would have put in. Additionally, I'm delighted to recognize our long-standing development partner of most valued status. Literally seconds after Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew started articulating his government's vision of a facility built to 21st century climate and technology specifications, the Republic of China Taiwan stepped forward to contribute its considerable expertise and resources. We are grateful to have Taiwan as our partner. In the beginning, middle, and in the end of any venture, leadership matters. This event is made possible because of the passionate leadership of our Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew. He has been talking about what's in his head for many months, including many 4 a.m. calls. Some people became vocally cynical because they did not see concrete blocks and steel. Prime Minister was undaunted by criticism, and it must be said, disinformation, aka fake news. Prime Minister's vision for St. Kitts and Nevis as a sustainable island state is not a slogan. It is the visionary roadmap of our future, and it is now in the national psyche and DNA. Thinking people see and understand why we must prepare for Category 5+ hurricanes. People feel the effects of food and fuel prices hikes imported from wars and rumors of trade wars far from our shores. People know technology is a tool for quality improvement. Today's unveiling is one of several testaments to the general understanding of external origin, realities, and shocks. A mindset of doom and gloom and dependency is not an option. We are powering progress with Almighty God in all our struggles, plus the assistance from friends and allies. Thank you for remaining steadfast. Thank you, too, for being the Minister of Finance and a champion for optimal investment in top-tier healthcare facilities for the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis and visitors alike. Ladies and gentlemen, a healthcare facility, hospital, or health center is more than blocks and steel. In the Ministry of Health, the gospel is this: healthcare is really about caring for people in an environment that is conducive to caring. Let me repeat that. Healthcare is about caring for people in an environment that is conducive to caring. There is another mantra: healthcare is too big to fail. The Ministry of Health is also not waiting for the new hospital facility to do the right things well. Over the last 30 months, users of our health centers and the current JNF General Hospital have seen and felt improvements in standards and services that our people are entitled to expect and deserve. These accomplishments underscore the fact that healthcare spending is not a cost. It's an investment in human development, health status, and the economy. Moreover, we'll continue to forge meaningful investments in training, provisioning, and refurbishing the environment of workstations. Before I close, I want to take this moment to recognize the dedicated care providers who show up day in and day out, often under the most challenging circumstances. Since JNF is in the spotlight, let me share some data that describes the workload. For the past 5 years, JNF has served an average of 60 inpatients per day. In 2024, the dialysis unit treated 41 persons, while the oncology cancer unit treated 101 persons. In 2024, there were 5,000 physiotherapy sessions, 5,000 eye clinic procedures, 11,000 radiology examinations, and 33,000 medications dispensed. What about the lab? In 2023, 55,000 tests were done, and in 2024, nearly 900 blood bank procedures were carried out. What about the emergency room, the source of long wait time complaints? In 2024, There were 30,000 presentations, including the impact of motor vehicle accident casualties per day. What about the operating theater, the ICU, and the ambulance service? In short order, the cost of care will be discussed with the public and with more data. Dedicated workers at the heartbeat of the Joseph N. France General Hospital, our health centers, the Cardin Home, Poxon, Mary Charles, and the ministry's headquarters. Their commitment, their sacrifices, their competencies in delivering, maintaining, and restoring the lives, wellness of our people will receive due recognition from our administration. In the meantime, I ask you to give them an initial round of applause to thank them for their service to our country. I must tell you that that applause is to remind all that the tireless work continues. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a proud moment for the healthcare in St. Kitts and Nevis, and I thank each of you for being part of this journey. Let us continue to move forward together towards a healthier, more sustainable future for our St. Kitts and Nevis. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this auspicious occasion. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it is my esteemed honor and privilege to invite the Ambassador of Taiwan, the Republic of China, Taiwan, to St. Kitts and Nevis, His Excellency Michael Lin, to provide remarks on behalf of his government and people. Ambassador Lin, welcome.
Honorable Dr. Teresa Zhu, the Prime Minister, and Mrs. Zhu, all the members of the Cabinet, PS, senior officers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to adopt the protocol that has so ably established by a chairperson. I just want to say this is a very pleasant, good day for me to be here today to witness the unveil of the design of the new JNF General Hospital, an architectural vision that will transform and uplift healthcare service in St. Kitts and Nevis. This is more than a blueprint. It is a promise of progress, a commitment to people's well-being, and a bold step toward a healthier future. The design embodies innovation, resilience, and the patient-centered care, ensuring the facility that meets the highest standard of medical excellence. This initiative marks the largest cooperation project ever between the government of the Republic of China, Taiwan, and the St. Kitts and Nevis. It stands as a testament of our 42 years long friendship, built on trust, shared values, the mutual aspiration for development. We are proud to have overseas engineering and construction company, OECC, a leading Taiwanese construction company, collaborating with local architects, consultants, and contractors to bring this vision to life. With an outstanding record of delivering projects on time and with exceptional quality, OECC is fully committed to constructing a world-class medical facility that will serve the generation to come. This new hospital will not only be a modern and efficient healthcare institution, but also a climate-resilient and a smart facility designed to meet the evolving needs of the people. It will prioritize patient comfort, operational efficiency, and accessibility, ensuring that every clinician and physician has access to top-tier medical care. Healthcare is not a privilege, but a fundamental right. No one should be left behind. The COVID-19 pandemic underscored the importance of a strong healthcare system, and Taiwan was honored to stand with St. Kitts and Nevis by donating masks and medical equipment at a critical time. Now, in the post-pandemic era, Taiwan was continue to support the well-being of this beautiful island state through this landmark healthcare project, demonstrating the spirit of Taiwan can help and Taiwan is helping. OECC will work diligently to construct a hospital that will not only offer exceptional healthcare service, but will also symbolize Taiwan's unwavering support for St. Kitts and Nevis. This facility is for the dedicated healthcare professionals, the patients who deserve the best care, and the community that has long envisioned a stronger, more resilient healthcare system. As the saying goes, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. This project reflects our shared commitment to service to the people, to the community, and to the future. Beyond medical care, this hospital will stand as a beacon of the lasting friendship between Taiwan and St. Kitts and Nevis. It will be a place of healing and hope, built on cooperation and goodwill. Taiwan has long championed international health cooperation, and we firmly believe that everyone, regardless of color or gender, poor or wealthy, deserve access to quality health medical care. As we celebrate this milestone, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the government of St. Kitts and Nevis for its steadfast support for Taiwan on the international stage, including in the United Nations and the World Health Organization. Your voice amplifies our shared commitment to global health, and we deeply appreciate it. Last but not least, the design we are seeing today are not just building a hospital. We are building a healthier, stronger, and more prosperous future. Let us imagine the day when this hospital opens its door, welcoming families into a facility staffed with skilled professionals, equipped with cutting-edge technology, and designed for excellence. That day is on the horizon, and together we are making it a certainty, a reality. Thank you, and congratulations once again on this important progress.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. And of course, Ambassador has been very generous in his comments because the impact of their touch points to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis is very far-reaching. In fact, we have a number of students who are coming out this from Taiwan on an intern exchange within the Ministry of Health, and we welcome that. Also, there will be MOU signed between the Veterans General Hospital and the Ministry of Health in St. Kitts and Nevis. So let's give the Taiwan Embassy a big round of applause again. Thank you very much. Of course, allow me to recognize the presence of our Honorable Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, National Security, Citizenship and Immigration, Health and Human Resource Management and Social Security, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, and Mrs. Prince Drew. Let us welcome them. Also, I'd like to welcome the Honorable Conris Maynard, the Minister of Public Infrastructure, Energy and Utilities, Domestic Transport, Information, Communications, and Technology and Posts, and Mrs. Maynard and their two daughters. Let us welcome the Honorable Minister. And I must add that the Honorable Minister is also the parliamentary representative to the new home of the Joseph N. France General Hospital. And he has already said that he's so happy that it has just been transferred in the same area. And of course, I want to also recognize the presence of His Excellency Leon Nathan Nelson. Ambassador Nelson is one of the beacon behind making sure that progress happens. And I can tell you, every time he calls, I have to answer, because it's always about the hospital and something is always happening behind the scenes. When you see the rendering today, you will see the kind of work that has gone into this all around. So I want to thank Nelson Natter Sometimes you're in the back room, but I want to bring your work in the front room so everybody can see the work that you've done. Without further ado, I want to also now invite the director. I know on the indication it says Vice President, but it's actually Director of OECC, Mr. Darwin Unalivaya, to come and give remarks on behalf of OECC. Let's give him a round of applause, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah. It is an absolute honor to stand before you today as we embark on what will undoubtedly be a transformational project for St. Kitts and Nevis, the construction of the new climate-smart Joseph N. Franz General Hospital. On behalf of Overseas Engineering and Construction Company, OECC, I extend my sincerest gratitude to the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Ministry of Health, and the people of this federation for entrusting us with this critical and historic undertaking. We recognize the significance of this hospital to this nation, not just as a medical facility, but as a lifeline for families. At OECC, we have had the privilege of working on major infrastructure and healthcare projects across the globe. And one thing we have learned is that the success of any project is about partnership, collaborative, and shared vision. That is why we are so excited to work closely with the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, local contractors, and skilled professionals to ensure that this hospital is built to the highest international standards, reflecting efficiency, sustainability, and innovation. We take great pride in delivering not just the structures, but the spaces that transform lives, and that's exactly what we intend to do here. The climate-smart approach to this hospital makes it a forward-thinking, sustainable facility that will withstand the challenges of the evolving climate, while ensuring uninterrupted healthcare services for all the citizens. Our team is ready to bring our expertise in resilience, sustainable, and energy-efficient construction to make this vision a reality. We are fully committed to working hand in hand with the government of St. Kitts and Nevis to deliver this hospital, which will be a model for the region and a point of pride for this nation. We look forward to the journey ahead, to the relationship we will build, and to the impact this project will have on healthcare, economic growth, and community development. Once again, on behalf of OECC, thank you very much, and we are eager to get started. Thank you so much.
I have come to recognize that the more you give into the universe, the more returns to you. And so last week I was asked by the honorable member for number 3, permanent secretary, to do a presentation as the Honorable Congress Maynard had decided that his entire team in the public infrastructure department, that they had a day for themselves. So they asked me to be the motivational speaker for the morning. Well, I think I moved them enough. But the point I'm making is that when you volunteer, it also comes back the other way. So the Honorable Congress Maynard is not only the parliamentary representative, but is here also to return a favor to ensure that the Ministry of Health gets good positioning on this survey. Let us welcome the Honorable Congress Maynard.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, colleagues. Allow me, of course, to recognize the presence of our Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Drew, and his beautiful wife. He looks so much better nowadays. Allow me also to recognize other members of the Federal Cabinet, Honorable Iselin Phillip. I recognize Honorable A.G. Garth Wilkin in the presence of his wife, Mrs. Wilkin. the Honorable Minister for Sustainable Development, Honorable Dr. Joy Clark. I also recognize CABSEC, Dr. Marcus Natter. And of course, on this side, I recognize little Shezel, little Aliella, and Shamara, my beautiful wife. I also want to recognize, of course, His Excellency, Ambassador Michael Lin from the Republic of China on Taiwan, a dear friend, permanent secretaries of the various ministries that are here. I see Dr. Jensen Morton, and I'll have a short word to say on him, but he's a critical figure. PS, of course, PS Martin, senior government officials, and all who have been invited here this afternoon to this unveiling. Today, we stand at an enormously historic moment for our nation and in particular for the constituency of constituency number 3 as we unveil the designs for the new Joseph Nathaniel France General Hospital, a state-of-the-art medical facility that will serve as a beacon of health, innovation, and resilience for generations to come. This new hospital is more than just a building. It is a commitment that we have heard, of course, the Prime Minister reiterate time and time and time again. A commitment to our people that quality health care will always be a priority. A commitment that we are investing in the modern climate-smart infrastructure designed to withstand the challenges of the present and the future. And a commitment that we are embracing the latest medical technology to provide world-class care right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. It is especially fitting, of course, that this hospital continues to bear the name of Sir Joseph Nathaniel France, a man who dedicated 43 years of his life to serving this very constituency and this very nation at all social levels. His legacy of commitment to the well-being of our people, their lives in this new facility, which will provide enhanced medical services, improved patient care, and a stronger healthcare system for all. This transformative project would not be possible, of course, without the strong and unbreakable partnership between the government and people of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Republic of China on Taiwan. I want you to put especially a round of applause for this continued partnership. Taiwan has been a steadfast friend to our nation, and their expertise and support in making this vision a reality demonstrates the power of international cooperation in building a better future. To the people, of course, in the constituency and the entire federation, this hospital, this climate-smart hospital, this JNF hospital is for you. It is for the elderly who need comfort and care. It is for the newborns taking their first breath. It is for the doctors and nurses who dedicate their lives to saving others, and for every citizen and visitor who deserves the very best in healthcare. I want to take a special moment to thank the work of all the persons who have been involved in the development of the JNF hospital. I am pretty sure that throughout the evening, many would be thanked. But a couple come to mind, and I hear the Prime Minister speak about them all the time. And I had the pleasure of sitting in cabinet earlier this week to see and listen to the presentation made by Dr. Jensen Morton. It is clear from the presentation that Dr. Jensen Morton and his team has spent an enormous amount of time understanding every single detail of what a new JNF hospital should look like. He presented to cabinet without a single paper, nothing to read from, nothing at all to guide his thought, but yet in chronological order, step by step, every wing of the hospital was explained in tremendous detail. Put your hands together for Dr. Jensen Morton. And I know that he has tremendous amount of help. Unfortunately, they weren't there to present at the time, but he obviously took the time to give credit to the tremendous amount of help that he would have gotten. Some of the names I remember is a Mrs. Maynard, of course, and I'm pretty sure that not Mrs. Maynard, my wife, but another Mrs. Maynard, who is in the health fraternity. And I'm pretty sure that P.S. Martin will assist in giving credit to all who have contributed significantly to this. So let this moment mark the beginning of a new era of healthcare in St. Kitts and Nevis. The JNF General Hospital will stand as a testament to our progress as we head to a sustainable island state. Our resilience and our unwavering commitment to the health and well-being of our people. Thank you, and let us have a wonderful unveiling. I can't wait to see it again with you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Congress Maynard. I can tell you that you can call me back. You have canceled out your debt, and you left some change. You left something in the JAD wallet. I'd like to recognize the presence of the Honorable Marsha Henderson, Minister of Tourism et al., and she has been doing a marvelous work in the tourism realm. I also want to say something quickly with respect to the leadership team in the healthcare. I have a very talented team. If you're part of my leadership team, can you stand, please? If you're in the room and part of my leadership team, please stand. Please stand, please stand, please stand. Please be seated. I love them to the moon and back. Yeah, and I'm going to defend them. Yeah, because they defend me. They work really hard. They say, PSU ain't easy, but we're going to get it done. So I want to thank them. Now, what the Honorable Minister did not tell you is that we were invited to cabinet. I believe that it would have been 30 minutes. I believe that was our time slot. Mr. Morton, Dr. Morton, spoke for almost 2.5 hours. When he was ready to go and wrap up, I hear the Honorable Iseline, the Honorable Henderson say, no, and Honorable Joy, no, I want to know about this, no, tell me more about this, and so forth. And so they even invited us to eat when we finished, and so we were really happy. Thank you very much for your hospitality. It's good to look at the lighter side. But ladies and gentlemen, when you have these kind of sessions, these kind of occasions, you have a featured speaker. Prime Minister of the Federation is in fact the featured speaker for today. However, I just need to carve out 30 seconds to mention something about the gentleman who will be coming to give the overview of the project. Because here is where the nuts and bolts really lie. People want to know what will be different, what are the features and benefits of this new facility. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue this momentous occasion, it is my privilege to introduce someone who plays a vital role in the ongoing transformation of our healthcare system. In any organization, there are individuals whose dedication, vision, and sheer work ethic make a tangible difference in the lives of those they serve. In the Ministry of Health, one such individual is our Director of Health Institution, Dr. Jensen Morton. He's not just a leader, he's a driving force behind many of the critical projects that shape the future of healthcare in St. Kitts and Nevis. From infrastructure, upgrades to service enhancement, and policy implementation, he has demonstrated an exceptional ability to execute with precision, efficiency, and unwavering commitment to excellence. His ability to take strategic plans from concept to completion has been a lasting impact across our health institutions, whether it is ensuring that facilities are equipped to meet modern standards or leading initiatives to enhance patient care and staff development. His leadership is felt everywhere. It is no small task to spearhead multiple projects across a national healthcare system, but he does so with remarkable dedication, ensuring that progress never slows and that the ministry remains focused on achieving its goal. His expertise, hard work, and results-driven approach have earned him the respect of his colleagues and the gratitude of the community we serve. And so without further ado, it is my great pleasure to invite to the podium a man of action, our Director of Health Institution, the man who will be in Hollywood today, Dr. Jensen Morton, to provide an overview of the features and benefits offering of the new Joseph Nathaniel France Health Facility. Let us warmly welcome Dr. Morton. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention about, Dr. Morton, though, is in the leadership team. Once there's anything to eat, he's first. Yeah. So once Jensen starts eating, everybody's going to eat after. Nobody touching anything unless Jensen touch it. Right? Yeah, so. Somebody said, Jensen, that is for display.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, I want everyone to see the screen. So I'd like to adopt the protocol that was so ably established, and I want to give a special shout out to all of the members of the Ministry of Health, from the Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, to the members of the leadership team, including our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Hazel Laws, the Director of Community Health Services, that's Dr. Shanil Iles, as well as our Human Resources Manager, Ms. Gleneva Sargent. No, I remember. And of course, the hospital team. Oh, I forgot the Principal Nursing Officer, Dr. Bradshaw, and the hospital team, which is Mrs. Lindsay Maynard, Director of Operations, Dr. Davine Wilkin, Medical Chief of Staff, the matron, Kerry Williams, took it, but she's far away. Okay. They pointed. And Ms. Stacy Batiste, our operations manager. So first and foremost, I have two little challenges. The first challenge is I was not allowed to use any pictures of the structure in my presentation because they didn't want it to spoil the surprise. So it's actually plain with regards to the words, but I'll explain everything nonetheless. It's not an issue. The other challenge is that they told me that I have a strict time limit and I like to talk a lot. So I made it just a few slides to force me to keep it succinct. So we'll get into it. Okay. So we'll just start off with a few things. Some information about our current hospital. We'll take a delve into the Prime Minister's overall vision, and then I'll let you know a little bit about some of the research that was done. So one of the good things about St. Kitts and Nevis is that we've always been regional leaders with regards to our health infrastructure. If you look at all of the history, even back to 1840, when the Cunningham Hospital was first built, it was regionally state-of-the-art. 1966, when we moved to the new location, again, state-of-the-art. And in 2001, even though it was built with a few challenges, challenge number one, we had extensive destruction to the existing structure between 1989 and 1997, which is why we needed a new hospital. And challenge number two, by 1997, 80% of the hospital was under tarpaulin. And they had to work fast because it seemed as if every year we're getting some new hurricane. So in the short span of time between 1999 and 2001, the new hospital was built, and it was built on a pretty tight budget. But despite that being the case, it was still a state-of-the-art institution. Those in the audience that are like 30 and above, they could remember when the hospital was first built and how nice it was and how much of a regional leader it was. But the time has come for us to make the next step with regards to the upgrade. The hospital was excellent when it was built, but there were a few challenges that I don't think many people could have predicted that ended up falling upon us. The first would have been an explosion with regards to chronic diseases. That has made the entirety of health outlook and how the type of patients that we have and how we treat them, that changed all of that. We had equally sized, for example, medical and surgical wards, but now the medical ward is always full to capacity just because of the amount of strokes and heart attacks and the amount of people with uncontrolled diabetes, uncontrolled blood pressure, and the list goes on and on. We suffer a lot from the medical ailments. We also had a drastic increase with regards to our psychiatric population. Our psychiatric ward was built to house, originally to house 12 patients. And when it was built, it was perfect when it opened in 2001. It was perfect. Within 6 years, our mentally ill population exploded. And what was once to house 12 people with abundant space, we had to find ways to now fit 20 people in the space and do all kinds of alterations to the structure. So in that short span of time, just lets you know how fluid healthcare can be. And of course, there have been technological advancements and technological improvements in which we have to make sure that we stay apace. So the dilemma that we faced was, what can we do to improve the current hospital versus, is it a case in which we need to start over? Well, the Prime Minister, with regards to his vision, he thought of it on a broader context. So one of the blessings of the Prime Minister is that he's trained both in Cuba as well as in the USA. And also he trained in all aspects of healthcare in St. Kitts. So he's seen the best of the best in two different frameworks. I know people know that Cuba has a good health system, but it's a good health system on a budget. The States has a good health system, but it's a good health system with a fat budget, but the two of them get it to work. And in his vision, he did not just see, let's build a new hospital. So even though, for the sake of letting people understand, we just said the new Joseph N. France General Hospital, no, he envisioned a Joseph N. France health network in which the new facility which we are building will be an adjunct to the overall health network. The current health structure will have its own role to play in the overall health network, which I'll explain in the very last slide, but I want to focus on the new facility and what features we will have in that new facility. So with regards to the research done, it was extensive. Since September 2022, we decided to start from the bottom up because at this point in time, we weren't sure if we were going to use the new site or if we were going to stay on our current site. And we went through the task of interviewing hundreds of staff members, over 400 staff members. The reason why we interviewed that many people was we wanted to make sure that every single aspect of the hospital, every type of worker, give their opinion. You'd be surprised to know what you could learn from everybody. From the person that might be the one clearing the drains, they could tell you exactly which type of drain is good versus bad because they clean it every single day and I would never know. I would be dependent on some literature which could be wrong based on our environment or climate. So we spoke with everybody. In total, we got over 1,000 unique points, which we put in our design directives. Okay. Which we put in a design directives document, which was over 300 pages long. That was the amount of things that we had compiled with regards to specifics of the hospital. No stone was left unturned. All aspects of every single ward, every single type, every single thing, electronics, plumbing, parking, everything that one can think of, nothing was left out. So after that was submitted, further work was done, and that's where the actual health infrastructure experts came in. One thing that we didn't wish to take a chance with was with something as important as this project. We know that local persons, of course, need to get the expertise of knowing how healthcare infrastructure works, but we had to make sure that persons were brought onto the team that know how to do this thing like the back of their hand. So thanks to the OECC, we were able to get into contact with experts in the field, like Dr. Parker, Dr. Neil Parson, Mr. Al Baksh, and the list goes on and on. Experts in space design, experts in energy efficiency, experts in construction engineering to ensure that this thing is done properly. These people, between them, they have built over 200 pieces of health infrastructure on every single continent on planet Earth. So it's not to say they don't know how our climate works or our small island setting works, none of the sort. The final step with regards to research would have been in the in-person consultations, when again, we had some key members of staff now in much smaller settings over a 1-week period, meet with meetings back to back to back to go over everything one last time. And all of the final documents were signed in September of 2024. So with all of that work over all those years, we are now at the end of it all with the engineers and the architects doing their final part, and we can speak a bit more about the institution. But I'm going to let you know some of the things that we would have considered. So the new hospital is actually going to be a 128-bed facility. I'll explain how we came to that number. And it's going to be a center of excellence, and it's going to be on a 15-acre site at West Farm in St. Kitts and Nevis. So it remains in constituency number 3. It's going to retain the name of Sir Joseph Nathaniel France. It's part of the health network. It stays in a constituency. It will meet standards that will facilitate the best practices for patient care, and it's going to meet the guidelines of accreditation for healthcare facilities in Canada, as well as any other healthcare accreditation guidelines, some of which are listed below. Now, that's very important. Oh, y'all can't hear me, sorry. No, that's very important because without proper accreditation, it messes up quite a few things that you're trying to do with regards to aspects of advancement, and it can even interfere with aspects of development. You'd be surprised how many people nowadays, when booking a trip, they might even not consider going to a place unless they see that international stamp of approval from one of these accreditation networks. And it continues for hosting large events, and other things of the sort. So we have to make sure that we build the facility with that in mind. So it's going to be planned to facilitate the programmatic focus of the Ministry of Health to serve its citizens and its floating tourist population and the entire Eastern Caribbean population through a focused medical tourism program. Now, why is medical tourism important? Well, all tourism is important. Minister Henderson can tell you. When you have a hospital, if you want to get in the field of health tourism, your facilities have to be state-of-the-art. Someone is not going to fly from wherever they are to your country to seek healthcare if they know that they're not going to have top-notch service in top-notch facilities. The two have to be hand in hand. Even though our service has improved and we actually have a good quality of service, some persons, they might look at a facility, look at the kind of greeting they get, look at how the place is, and that alone might be something that makes them decide that they're not going to spend their hard-earned money. So we also have to bear in mind that we now get over 1 million tourists. If you divide it by 365, that's over 3,000 additional people on island every single day. And if it's one thing you should know about the tourists that come, especially those that come via the cruise ships, a lot of them are elderly. So I know when people see 4 cruise ships, they're all excited. 4 cruise ships mean at least 10 people reaching into the hospital, by the way. And it becomes our stress, just because of the age of persons. You can't choose when you get ill. So the entire hospital building is going to be technologically smart and is going to be resilient and able to withstand major natural disasters such as hurricanes and earthquakes. We also had to make it environmentally green, incorporating renewable energy systems, inclusive of solar power. And the patients and users, they will have a tranquil environment conducive to healing, so noise from any nearby roadways, as well as the heliport, which I'll get to, it will be mitigated through the use of exterior glazing and other acoustic screening. So we also wanted to make sure that we took advantage of the natural beauty of the location. Even though our hospital right now is nice, there's one pet peeve I have with it, and it's that every time people are leaving the hospital, they always say, this has such a beautiful view. But unfortunately, when you're in the rooms, you can't see any of the view because it wasn't built to take into account the beauty of the place. So I said, we have to make sure that we take advantage of the natural beauty of the nation around us. So every single patient room is going to be on the upper floors of the building, and every room will offer sweeping views either of the ocean or of our mountains, and that can help with the overall calming effect. There'll also be terraced gardens on the upper floors that will further enhance the aesthetics of the facility. And we also took into account the topography of the area, and we chose to build the facility to take advantage of that rather than just doing excavation, and it helped us with regards to saving on cost as well. So it's going to have a lot more flexibility with regards to its inpatient rooms with the use of efficient medical planning. So as you could see, the open bay concept is not something that we're going to be going for. I will explain it in a simple way. a bit off the cuff, but it helps me to go through all the other slides a lot faster when I'm done. So right now, we have quite a number of rooms in our hospital. But if you don't have those rooms arranged in a particular way for maximum efficiency, you'll have a lot of rooms on paper, but in actuality, you'll be very restricted. So I'll start off by using some examples. I'll use 3 examples. So Curacao is a country, a nation, an island. It has about 150,000 people. It has 1 hospital, Curacao Medical Center. That hospital has 300 rooms. Doing some maths, I like maths, so that's about 1 hospital room for 500 people. Then we go to Barbados. Barbados has about 280,000 people, and its hospital has about 518 rooms last time I checked. Again, do some quick maths. Again, you end up with about 540 or so. So it's like 1 in 500 again. We go next door to Antigua. About 90,000 people also live in Antigua, just under that, but if I train Barbuda, it reaches up there. They have their 1 hospital, which is 180 rooms. 90,000 divided by 180, it's 500. Our current hospital, if I had to add all of the spaces for all of the beds, it's actually 164 beds that we can accommodate. But our population is 38,000. So on paper, our bed-to-patient ratio is the best in the whole region. It's under 200. It's really, really good. But what is the reality? The reality of it, the nursing office could tell you how stressful it is. When you have your hospital arranged with a rigidity with regards to wards, with regards to gender, and with regards to multi-patient units, it becomes exceptionally difficult to fit in persons. So remember earlier I told you that the medical ward is always full. That ward has room for 35 persons. It's always full. If I have a 36th person that had a stroke, anyone here, if you had somebody that had to be admitted to the hospital, you would probably have to wait in the emergency room for quite some time for admission. And they might not tell you why, but one of the reasons why is trying to find a bed or a space. So then you'd be wondering, well, if we have 168 beds and, the ward is 35 persons, why don't they just put them somewhere else? It's not that simple. First and foremost, usually, as populations go, it's accurate. We usually have about 70 patients in the hospital at any one point in time, which falls in line with the same numbers in the other islands. However, even if my surgical ward has space, I can't just simply put a patient from medical ward to surgical ward. Thing number 1, the surgical ward has space because patients are in there cyclically. Patients come in for their surgeries Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then it kind of thins out during the rest of the week. When someone comes in with something like a stroke, they're going to be there for a longer period of time. Even if I have space in surgical ward now, they're going to need the space later, and I might not have the ability to move the person. So surgical ward, they would not be willing to accept the person. When you have a ward separated by gender, and I have to, because every time we mix the genders, things happen. So we have to separate them by we have to separate them by gender. So one gender is on one side, one gender is on the other side. The other problem is that only few of the rooms are single rooms. The bulk of the rooms are bulk of the units rather, are 4 and 6 patient units. So if you think about it, on the medical ward, I have 2 4-bed units and a 6-bed unit. So that can hold 14 patients on that side. If I have 11 patients, that means that a 4-bed unit is full, 6-bed unit is full, and a 4-bed unit has 1 person with 3 empty rooms, 3 empty beds rather. If the female side is completely full and I get another additional female, I can't put on the male side because there's somebody in that space. I can't move him anywhere. There's nothing I can do. So I have 3 empty beds. I have somebody that needs to go to hospital. I don't have a place to put them. Putting them on surgical is difficult. And then when you go with the other wards, maternity always has to be separate. And then when you're with pediatrics, you can't put adults on a pediatric ward because, again, something abusive might happen and you don't even want the possibility of that. So you remove the possibility by no adults on a child's ward. So all of a sudden, we have a shortage. We have a lot of rooms, a lot of beds rather, but we have a shortage. So what that means is that the easiest way to prevent this problem is if you have as many as possible single rooms. It sorts us out with regards to our issues as it pertains to all of the headaches of placing people properly. It allows us to use all of the rooms we have available, because any room can be used for any patient since every room is individual. And even in light of things like COVID-19, it allows for more isolation of patients, which is safer. And of course, you have more privacy. So that was one of the things that was prioritized. So that's basically what this is speaking about. But it also speaks a bit about ICU and the high dependency unit. And it's speaking about the nursing ratios, which we have to ensure that we keep up to international standards. International standards mean you have to keep the nursing ratios between 1 nurse to 1 patient or 1 nurse to 4 patients, depending on the severity of the illness of the patient. And that had to be borne in mind as well. So that speaks again about the nursing ratios. Now, in some events, the maximum that we will have would be twin sharing rooms, meaning apart from single rooms, which we try to maximize out, there'll be a few rooms with 2 beds in it, which is not so bad. The minimum, according to WHO, if you're going to have 2 beds in a room, is that they have to be separated by at least 2 meters. But with our plans, we're able to get them separated head-to-head distance of at least 4 meters. So we more than exceed that, which keeps us in line with the accreditation standards. So as I'm saying here, there'll be no 4-bed or 6-bed inpatient rooms or wards. That's final. So the other thing that's important is that when you're designing your room, if you design it properly, and you just make sure that it has the proper layout, since you have single rooms already, it is possible to turn nearly any room into an ICU room if the needs forces that to be. So when you design it properly with every area available for the plugging in of the equipment, all you have to do is wheel in the equipment when it's time, and all of a sudden your single room is now an ICU room. So even in the event that we need more than what we have, even though we'll have enough, if I can't predict the future and we need more, it is possible to improve that. So as I say here, any patient room can become an acute care monitoring room. And that explains it a little bit more. So again, very vital with the maternity unit, every single room is single occupancy. What we've realized is that, we built the ward with just a few single rooms. Those single rooms are always full because nowadays women, they try their hardest to get their own individual room when they're pregnant and when they're about to give birth. So we decided that, for the sake of privacy and other things, it is best if they all get that dignity and if all of them have access to a single room. So we also ensure that the ratio of isolation rooms is 1 to 12, which again is in keeping with international standards. The other area I should mention would be our outpatient clinics. We have a strong focus of the outpatient clinics, which you will see in the video display, just how large the outpatients department is, which is adjacent to the main hospital. And we ensured that our outpatient clinics have the ability to be expanded to offer as many services as possible. So these are things regarding the structure. We tried to make sure that we followed a guideline of a more gridwork structure with regards to the building, such that it would be easier for construction, easier for organization, and it also allows us a little bit more flexibility with regards to space utilization. The other thing that has to be noted is that we tried to see how much we could have crossover of utilization of spaces. So right now in the hospital, if anybody was to ask how many operating theaters we have, I would have to say 2. I mean, I'm building one now in maternity since I have to be in the space, but right now they would say 2. We actually have 3. There's one in the eye clinic, but it's 100% only for eyes. If you have a space that's built properly such that any procedure can happen in any operating room, then all of a sudden I have 3 rooms instead of me saying I have 2. So that was also something that was paid attention to. All right. So we also ensured that even in the OPD clinic that it had a satellite diagnostic center such that information with regards to blood work, etc., can reach to the lab without it causing any kind of issue. So we also looked at the usage of elevators, escalators, dumbwaiters. That's a type of elevator for equipment and things only. And the pneumatic tube system. That's a system for delivering medication and blood tests that could take agitation, and they can send them through the facility super fast. So you don't need a human being to walk things to things anymore, to walk things to places anymore. So we ensured that those were well distributed throughout the facility, especially since we chose to do a multi-story design. A multi-story design is a plus because it decreases the total foot distance that you have to take to get from one place to another. And for a small island, I don't think any place should be far to reach in our facility. If it's one thing with our facility, they were working with constraints, so air conditioning wasn't a priority when they were building it. So to compensate for that, they had to sprawl it out so that every building could get breeze. But with it being sprawled out, it kind of means that it's a distance to walk to get everywhere. So with this advancement in technology, we're going to have some central air conditioning, and we're going to ensure that the building is built such that we take up as little space as possible in terms of ground floor space, but that we have adequate transportation systems inside. This is just explaining the pneumatic tube system. So the medical programs and features, I put all of them there. They're in alphabetical order. Some are medical, some are surgical, some are inpatient, some are outpatient, but it's so many. It's about 4 slides worth. I just think you guys should see them. So it's everything from pain care, antenatal, and the list goes on, cardiology, cardiopulmonary, cardiothoracic surgery, dermatology, dietary counseling, ear, nose, and throat, of course, emergency services, endocrine, gastroenterology, general, oncological, laparoscopic, cosmetic, endocrine, and pediatric surgery, organ transplants, and other tissue transplants. This is key. We actually launched a kidney transplant program. We have the ability to do kidney transplants, but it's a little bit difficult because of how our surgical theaters are arranged. This allows us to bypass that hurdle, and it allows us to expand the program that we've already started. So geriatrics, infectious disease, ICE, intensive care services, medical imaging, nephrology, neurology, neurosurgery, et cetera, et cetera. You can read. You can also read again. So quite a number of features and medical programs we ensure that we included. So now let's look at some installed capacities. So the new facility is 128 rooms, even though our current hospital is 164. Like I told you, if you have a better utilization of space, it is even more ability that you have, even though it's less rooms, just because it's more single rooms. So don't just look at something from its face value only. This is an abundance of space. Since I've been there, which is about 3 years now, we have actually never had more than 90 patients in the hospital at any one point in time. So that 128, it takes into account for the maximum that we've ever had, and it even has some spillover room for the health tourism and some spillover room if anything happens in Nevis or something like that. We have enough space to absorb everyone. And please note that the current JNF facility will still remain open and will still have beds for particular things. So this is not the full picture. So this just explains what I would have mentioned earlier with regards to the importance of single rooms. So this is just comparing the two. Oh, sorry, this is ICU, pardon. So with regards to our ICU, right now our ICU has spaces for 5 patients. 4 of them are in an open concept space and 1 is in an isolation room. We actually have to thank Taiwan again because Taiwan is the one that built our current ICU. Before that, we didn't have one. We only had a special care services area. Taiwan came into the picture, they saw the need, and they just gave us the equipment and stuff necessary for an ICU, but they did the best they could with the space they were provided, and we have a 5-bed ICU right now. The new facility, so look at that, they helped us once, they help us again. The new facility is going to have 8 general ICU beds, including 1 negative pressure isolation critical care unit, 3 beds specific for pediatric ICU cases so that children don't have to be in the general ICU anymore and they can have their specific equipment that's tapered towards them and their specific cases. One of the challenges we have, we can overcome it. We have good staff, but it's one of the challenges that we have. Now, 5 high dependency step-down single bed units. This is important. Right now, when you've reached the end of your tenure in ICU, you go straight back to the ward. And sometimes you're in this in-between zone where you still need an increased amount of monitoring compared to the ward, but not as high as ICU. That's what the step-down unit is for, to ensure that we plug that gap. And for the Cardiology Center of Excellence, there are going to be 6 cardiothoracic surgical specialty single-bed units because we intend to offer cardiothoracic surgical services to the wider Leeward Islands region. And this allows us to have all of the infrastructure in place to be able to do that. So as you could see, in terms of raw ICU rooms, it's from 5 to 22. That's why I said, even though we have the ability to turn any room into an ICU room, we probably wouldn't need to because of the amount of space that we're now going to have. So just to let you know how much we can absorb now, we had 184 ICU admissions. Last year, we can absorb up to 1,606. So we've built to be able to last for the next century. So no matter what happens, we'll have space. No matter what breaks out, we'll have space. We'll be fine. The trend to the bottom is just to let you see that as time has progressed, our ICU cases have increased. So it's not crazy to build something with that amount of capacity when you're seeing the continuing trend. And I did mention already that our chronic diseases are increasing. So next is the accident and emergency. As the permanent secretary would have said, we had over 29,000 ER visits in 2024. This new facility will have the ability to absorb up to 86,805 emergency room visits per year. So again, much, much, much more than we need, but this is building for the future. The 7 observation beds was increased to 10 observation beds plus an additional isolation examination bed and some changes to the overall layout of the facility. It allows for more streamlining and it allows for more patients to be seen without causing any negative impact. Yes, and there's also going to be an urgent care clinic for walk-in patients outside of the outpatient clinic hours, which is going to be adjacent to the emergency unit, so that if you go to the hospital for something minor, you don't have to wait for a super long time because the emergency room is filled with a serious emergency. But the current JNF will also come into play for that facility as well. So with regards to the nursing block, which is the inpatient beds, just to break down our current breakdown and what is proposed, this excludes ICU and this also excludes babies, which comes into the count, which would increase it to 108 plus 100. Anyway, this is the layout. So in terms of the acute care single unit block, which are the single rooms, are going to be 21 beds with another 6 beds for isolation. We also have some executive suites, which is 27 beds, which is the same single beds, but just a little bit nicer if you want the ambience of it all. We make provisions for that as well. In terms of twin sharing rooms, there are going to be 13 rooms, which is 26 beds. The maternity unit always has to be a separate unit. It's going to have a 20-bed unit, which brings the total to 100 beds. And this is our current layout. But this is just to reflect that a greater efficiency with regards to how your beds are laid out, it allows you for more flexibility. So we have the capacity for more than twice the amount of admissions per annum, and we have the capacity for an explosion of maternity admissions. This is because we want to encourage persons to to breathe the breath of life a little bit more. So this is y'all start first though, but this is us topping it up. We had 408 births in 2024, and that's actually half of what it was 10 years ago. So the birth rate has fallen by quite a bit, but we have the capacity for 2,000 births per annum. We're going to be the birthing center for the entirety of the Leeward Islands. We'll even have the ability to do modern things like the water birthing facility. There's going to be a room that's designed for that if that's what you desire. Oh, yeah, I like that. Okay. With the maternity unit, each room is a single bedroom with its own bathroom, a spacious interior. There's no sharing of beds, not rooms, excuse me. There are 4 labor and delivery rooms present in the unit. There's a C-section operating theater that's going to be in the unit, as well as a neonatal ICU with 7 bassinets, as well as an isolation room in the unit. In terms of surgical services, there'll be a total of 4 major surgical operating rooms. Each one will have the ability to do general surgical cases, but each of the other rooms will have other additional uses apart from general surgery. So one will be for orthopedics, robotic surgery, and ENT surgery. Right now, I don't have a robot, but I do have staff right now that can do robotic surgery, so I might as well plan for it. Room 2, hybrid cardiac. Room 3 is the eye clinic, but it can also do general surgery. And room 4 is for some advanced cardiovascular procedures. And this allows for us to have continuous surgery, so no longer is it just Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Surgeries can now be expanded much more, with us also investing in the proper staff, now that the infrastructure is there. Also, the resuscitation room of the emergency room, it has the capability of being converted into an additional emergency operating room, just in case you get that serious case and you don't have time to move. It will have the level of hygienics such that you can actually turn it into an operating theater and operate right there, right then. There's also going to be an ambulatory surgical department for colonoscopies, EGDs, angiographies, and lithotripsy. And the minor ops department will also be located between the emergency room and the operating theater. As you could see, we have the ability to increase our total major surgical interventions by a factor of 3, which is important because we've been doing more surgeries and we have many more surgical specialists now than we did. And for minor surgical procedures, it's an explosion with regards to the amount of minor procedures that we can do now. And the hospital will offer the ability for a lot of those minor procedures to be done properly. And this is just explaining what I went through earlier with regards to a direct comparison. So our outpatient facility, I think that's an error. But anyway, our outpatient facility, it will be able to have more outpatient visits per annum. And in terms of dialysis, we'll be able to increase our dialysis capacity by 2.5 times. Ultimately, we need the organ transplant program to be going because kidney transplant relieves you from the burden of dialysis. But until that happens, we are still building with the ability for dialysis to be expanded. In terms of radiology, there'll be 2 general X-ray rooms, 2 ultrasound rooms, a CT scan with cardiac capabilities. We already have the machine, so we'll have yet another place to move that machine to. A mammography unit, a PET CT scan unit, which is essential for cancer diagnoses, a bone densitometry unit, and an MRI unit. This is just a breakdown to show how we did some of our calculations with regards to how many procedures can be done per annum. And this is just a comparison of what we have now and what we'll be able to do to show that we increased the capacity in everything, and some of the services we don't even have up at this current time, even though some of them on that list we are not waiting until the new hospital. We will get them up in a couple of months' time. But we'll have a facility built to be able to take on the burden when the time comes. In terms of the lab, we'll have the ability to increase the amount of tests done by the lab by nearly 10-fold. And it's going to be 24/7 operations with a focus on efficiency and speed with regards to getting back lab results. So I won't spend too much time on the design considerations. It's just for you all to understand that we took a lot of things into consideration. Things regarding signage, things regarding access, wheelchair access, ergonomic design, to ensure that equipment can be maneuvered all throughout the facility. We took into account work spaces because that's something that we kind of lack. So the space is designed such that you're comfortable whether you're a patient or a worker, and it has everything needed such that when we implement something like 12-hour shifts, you're still comfortable. So the complaints for that would decrease. The complaints from that would decrease. That's the international standard, so we kind of have to do it. But it makes it easier when you have facilities that can allow for this. Patient-centered care, of course, with a focus on everything from the sights to the smells, the environment, air quality, the sounds, and even something like light exposure. We ensured that the natural light was maximized using sunlight exposure studies. And I'm not joking, they literally did sun exposure studies at different times of day on the facility to ensure that the amount of sun exposure is adequate such that your room can get natural lighting without your room getting too hot since we're in a tropical climate. And this is just some excerpts from the engineering part of the study at different times of year for them to make sure that there was adequate light in different parts of the hospital. Of course, I mentioned the views, indoor health. We also ensured that there was a heliport. Now, right now, if you're in Nevis and you need care in St. Kitts, we put you on a boat. I don't know when the future will come and we'll get a heliport, so we made sure that that was there. So the last thing I'm going to mention is uses of the current facility. The current facility is still going to remain a polyclinic. It's going to have additional rooms for long-term stay persons, palliative care, an expanded national center for precise mental health treatment and wellness, including different tiers or different types of mental health challenges. It will be able to address that properly and succinctly. A medical learning resource center, the kitchen and laundry facilities will actually remain on the current site, and we'll just have transport to and from. It reduces pestilence and other things. The national morgue will remain there, a public health lab will remain there, and a few other things. Okay? So without further ado. No, you all can't see, they've been telling me to wrap up for like 10 minutes. So now we present, yes, now we present to you the new Sir Joseph N. France General Hospital. All right, so just one little thing to add. We took advantage of the flag's colors to do one little thing. The red is the emergency department. We just took advantage. The green part is actually something new. It's a medical mall. If we're going to have that much foot traffic, we might as well give persons some opportunities for commerce and enterprise. The PM was sure to and have us include a medical mall and other things like that. So thank you.
Let us give Dr. Morton another round of applause, please. I need the folks from OECC to stand, please, and Mr. Victor Williams and Mr. Bash. Stand. Stand, and Ambassador Natter, stand. Yeah. These gentlemen, you cannot get something like this overnight. That took a lot of planning. A lot went into not just the design input, but also the design of the structure. And I think we're mighty pleased with the work that you've done. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Of course, as the permanent secretary, let me also let you know that we're not waiting until the new building to fix our customer service matters. This year, the Honorable Prime Minister has asked me to deal with two things: staff capacity building, human resource development, and the customer service experience. And today, I told my team that normally in leadership, customer service is often not on the agenda. It comes on the agenda when something happens. For the next 6 months, we will be focusing totally on customer service. In fact, on staff development, every single staff in the ministry will be exposed to some form of training this year. And in fact, I had an experience recently where I visited a classmate of mine at the hospital. And I understood that she was there, so I went to see her. When I went to see her, they told me that she's in one of the rooms on the surgical ward. When I went there, she actually said, Mr. Martin, lots of things being said about JNF, but let me tell you, I received superior service from beginning to end. And she was able to name every single doctor and nurse and professional that had a touch point. So on Monday, I'll make sure they get their due recognition and a small token of appreciation. We have to be serious about these things. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, allow me to introduce our Honorable Prime Minister. It is truly an honor to introduce a leader whose vision and dedication continue to shape not just the Ministry of Health, but the very foundation of the governance in St. Kitts and Nevis. Leadership is not simply about holding a title. It's about setting a course and ensuring that no matter how complex the challenge, the vision remains and progress remains steady. The Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Drew, is the guiding hand and focused mind behind the transformation we're witnessing in healthcare today. Despite the immense responsibility of overseeing two of the largest ministries in government, I can confidently say that the Ministry of Health is never without direction, never without a plan, and never without a commitment to excellence. And that is as a direct result on the reflection of the Honorable Prime Minister's leadership. There are many examples I could give of his hands-on approach to improving our healthcare system, but allow me to highlight just one. In a very near future, we will embark on the full build-out of the electronic health management system, a game changer for efficiency, patient care, and data management in our hospitals and clinics. And let me tell you, every time I see the Prime Minister, this project is one of about 5 things that he presses me about, without fail. This level of persistence, that unwavering focus on progress, is exactly why this initiative and so many others are just not ideas, but realities. His leadership ensures that healthcare in St. Kitts and Nevis is evolving, improving, and keeping pace with global standards. So today, as we unveiled the designs for the new climate-smart Joseph Nathaniel France General Hospital, we also acknowledge that this moment is part of a much larger vision, one that places our people, our health, and our future at the center of national development. It is my privilege and honor to welcome to the podium the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honorable Dr. Terence Michael Drew.
Wow, Mr. Chair, what an introduction. But thank you for your kind words, as you would have done for all of us who had the opportunity to speak this evening. Let me say how elated I am, and I mean it from the depths of my heart, to see all of you here witnessing the unveiling of the new JNF hospital. But allow me just quickly to recognize a number of key persons here and to recognize all of you. Of course, let me recognize the Honorable Conris Maynard and his wife and his family, his 2 daughters. This hospital will be close to you. I want to also recognize with us the Honorable Marsha Henderson. I want to recognize the Honorable Dr. Joyel Clark, the Honorable Iselin Phillip, our esteemed Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Marcus Natter, to also recognize with us Ambassador Leon Natter Nelson, Ambassador Lynn, and of course, allow me also to recognize the wife of our esteemed Attorney General, who is away on government business, his wife, Mrs. Sherry, she's here with us this evening. I also want to recognize the wife of our past minister, special advisor in multiple areas of our government, the wife of Honorable Vicky Skerritt. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize all of the permanent secretaries who are here and the head of service. Ms. Richards, my own permanent secretary, Ms. Naima Hazel, P.S., of course, from Health, who is the chairman, P.S. Martin, the leadership from Health, who are all here, including the P&O, and also our matron, and I think our assistant matron might be here as well. But allow me to recognize the leadership of OECC, because OECC, which is the overseas company from the Republic of China, Taiwan, is here with us. And to recognize also those who are involved with this hotel, with this hospital. I say hotel because my wife said it looked like a hotel. All those who are involved with this project who have been recognized already. So many people who to recognize and who deserve this, of course, recognition. I want to recognize those who pray. I didn't see Pastor Connor, I don't know if he was here, who prayed for this unveiling this evening. I see P.S. Pistano, who is in the back, and other leaders who are here. And I see Pierre Chez, who is here. Welcome back. I know you were out for a few days. Ambassador Nevis Dockery, who is here as well. I want to recognize Honorable Nigel Carty and Bishop Cyprian Williams and other members of leadership who are here with us this evening. Let me also recognize the family of J.N. France. His daughter, Prudence, is here with us this evening. Put your hands together for her. Our father contributed significantly to the development of St. Kitts and Nevis, and this hospital is named after him and will continue to do so, with the insistence, of course, of the parliamentary representative, the Honorable Conway Maynard. Said this has to be number 3, and we all said we agree. And so it will remain there because historically that's where it's been, and it has a significance, and therefore we will continue with that tremendous work. I want to recognize all of you from the general public who are here with us physically, and those who are here with us by means of various media who are watching and enjoying the unveiling of this hospital. But let me lastly recognize my wife, who knows that I used to get up very early in the morning to push this project. So she has gone through the aches and pains of getting it. So I want to recognize you. But allow me to say something especially about Dr. Jensen Morton. I know it has been said, but it cannot be overstated. When I call 4:30 in the morning, he answers religiously. And so that shows his own level of commitment. And never once did I hear in his voice that he was grumpy. I understand if people are grumpy at 4:30, but I've never heard that before. And he set out to do the work to make sure that we do the consultation and charter plan. And the idea was not to rush this, but to be as prudent as possible, but to get it right. When we asked him to do consultation and all of that, we thought he would consult with maybe 20, 25 people. Dr. Morton consulted with over 400 people. And he's correct, from those who keep the environment clean at the hospital to the very top, the specialists in various endeavors in medicine. He did not leave out anyone. And that is why this design concept, we think, is the best concept we could have come up with to satisfy the medical needs of our people here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Needless to say that this hospital is a necessity. It is not a want, it is not just for legacy purposes. In listening to Dr. Jensen Morton, you'd recognize very quickly why we embarked on such a project so early in an administration. Because healthcare is the foundation. It is the center. Health is the center of everything that we do. And when you look at what we are transforming into, you'll quickly recognize that this will be a state-of-the-art facility. It wasn't just words. We wanted to make sure that whatever we delivered to you, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, would be an institution that is fit for purpose. And what we want to make sure is that modern healthcare would be delivered right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We in St. Kitts and Nevis are accustomed to be the leaders in healthcare. When you go way back, as he mentioned, from the 19th century all the way up, or the 20th century all the way up to now, we had been on the forefront always. And so we want to maintain that. And it is because we believe that healthcare is a right in St. Kitts and Nevis, a foundational principle that guides us, that healthcare is a right and not a privilege. And therefore, we decided that we will deliver a facility that can serve our people here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Why is it important for us to deliver a facility like this? Reasons have changed over time or have become more complex. Of course, the number one is to deliver excellent healthcare. But it's obvious now that we are going through climate change. We see the storms that hit the Grenadines. You remember Beryl, that came early and was fierce. When I traveled to the Grenadines and visited the sites with the various prime ministers there, and you saw the destruction of the hospitals on those islands, they had a main hospital to transport all of their patients. Can you imagine if we are hit with such a hurricane that our hospital is so badly damaged, where are we going to put the patients from JNF? That is why this is almost an emergency. We have to get the hospital up to standard in order to withstand these type of hurricanes we're expecting. And for those who said we could have retrofit the JNF hospital, it is beyond that. We looked at that as well. The cost for it, and then the inefficiencies that will still persist because of its built and its layout. It was fit for purpose back then in 2001. But today, in 2025, 2026, 2027, we need a facility that will be fit for purpose at this time, and we have outgrown the present facility. And so it is a necessity as to why we do that. I want the people of our country to also recognize that in bringing this forth, that time had to be spent. This could not have been a rushed project. We had to do the necessary consultation, and we had to engage those persons who are experts, not in just construction, but hospital construction. I remember visiting Canada, and I visit a facility by Mr. Bash to see where the materials for the hospital are done. I also visited a hospital in Canada that they built, a healthcare facility in Canada that they built, and had an official tour of the Canadian hospital to see its layout, the materials used. Is it fit for purpose? Is it serving the needs of the people? And all those questions were answered. And today, what we are unveiling is a facility that would answer all of those questions for us here in St. Kitts and Nevis. There are some services that are being demanded by our people here in St. Kitts and Nevis. But because of the layout of the hospital, it makes it challenging. One of the points that Dr. Morton made that I want to reinforce is the point that we have enough beds, but because of our strict layout, we cannot use the beds in a more flexible way. In simple terms, in pediatrics, you have all these beds, but you hardly have patients there. Our children don't get sick. They get a little cough, cold, they're very healthy. And so the ward is almost always empty, or the capacity or the number of patients there are way below the number of beds. So if you get a patient in the emergency room who is an adult patient and needs a bed, but the beds on medical wards are filled, you cannot transfer them to pediatric ward. And you have 15 beds down there empty. And then you ask yourself the question, 164 beds, you have only 60, 70 patients in the hospital, and you can't get a patient from the emergency room quickly up to the medical ward. It does not make sense. But when you think about it, it does make sense because of our strict appreciation of where patients should go in the present facility. That is why we can have less rooms, but much more capacity, because patients can move in and out, and these will be single rooms, another demand from our people here in St. Kitts and Nevis. That will improve our efficiency, it will improve our patient care, it will improve the satisfaction that our people feel, and that will translate into a number of positive health outcomes. The other thing that we look at was that it had to be climate smart. Climate smart in the sense that it can withstand the hurricane, but it can also withstand the insidious changes of climate change, the extreme heat that's affecting certain materials today. The fact that you have to build it in a way that people would not suffer from the heat. We had to put AC on medical ward and surgical ward. I don't know when last any of you would have been to the hospital. But we have there presently AC on both wards. Why? Because of climate change, we're experiencing some of the hottest days that man has ever recorded on planet Earth. And so the heat was causing significant distress for our people, especially adults with chronic diseases. Can you imagine you have a heart problem and the temperature is sky high? That is putting extra strain on your heart and your lung capacity without you recognizing. And so we want an area that is temperature controlled so that our patients can have the best outcome possible. That again is added cost, but it is essential at this time to have that type of service to create the right environment for our people. We also wanted to make sure that it's built in a way to withstand the strongest hurricanes that we can have around here, which is the Category 5 hurricane. That too was considered. We need a hospital that can withstand that. The present facility at JNF, you heard me complain time and time, for many, many years the roof was leaking. We had to, of course, engage the Republic of China, Taiwan, who had to bring materials from Taiwan and ship it to St. Kitts and Nevis to end the leaky roof. But of course we know that that has to be constantly be upgraded and maintained, which we'll do for a polyclinic. But for a hospital, where you have acute care and inpatient care, we wanted a more robust building in order to deal with that. The hospital will also be able to be a shelter. Why did we do it like that? As I said before, if one institution should be standing after any hurricane, should be a hospital. And if it has to double up as a shelter, then it means, therefore, we have to build it to the specifications that it can house people, not just if they are sick, but if we have to house people to protect them from the elements if we get a really strong hurricane that can affect a lot of our infrastructure. And in addition to that, we had to take advantage of the beauty of St. Kitts and Nevis, the beautiful seas, the beautiful mountains, that even when you're internal sick, you can look through your window and be calmed by the nice Caribbean Sea or the beautiful Mount Liamiga that we have here in St. Kitts and Nevis. That you can come out of a patio where there's a nice garden. All that ambience can add to your recovery. In addition to that, I remember when my son was born, these hospitals have individual rooms. And so we want women to have more children, our families to have more children. I'll just smile. But we wanted those single rooms so that you can bring your family with you, and your family can stay with you while you are delivering. Your partner can stay with you. And that would, of course, improve relationships and, of course, create a better environment for your child, because research has suggested that. We want to make sure that we have advanced treatment areas in neurology, cardiovascular, and so forth, strokes, and so forth, so that people can benefit from advanced medical care. But we throw in there that St. Kitts and Nevis used to be a hub for medical care. You all remember when people used to come from St. Martin and Anguilla and all these countries to St. Kitts to get medical care. We think we can go back to that because the assessment shows that we have a strong foundation when it comes to our healthcare system, and we can build on it and establish ourselves once again as a small giant in the area of healthcare. And this will redound to the benefit of the tourism sector, where we can attract more people because they will feel more secure, understanding that we have a healthcare facility that can treat their ailments if they were to get sick. And so we have done all of that for you, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, because you deserve it. Now allow me to really thank the Republic of China, Taiwan. I remember coming into office and having maybe my first couple of meetings with Ambassador Lin, who is here and who really works hard. And we were discussing critical areas for development of St. Kitts and Nevis, and I mentioned to him that we needed a hospital. And sure, to this afternoon, you all see also all the reasons as to why we need a facility and to get a facility as soon as possible. And there we discussed how we were going to join together to fund such a venture and to get experts from Taiwan who can also help in its construction with collaboration with our partners here, locally and internationally. And so Taiwan is a friend, a good friend, a friend. And I just see somebody said, a best friend. Year after year at the United Nations, at the World Health Assembly, St. Kitts and Nevis speaks up for Taiwan as a country. We speak up because it's obvious that Taiwan has something critical to contribute. Taiwan's contribution can help the world. Taiwan's contribution can help healthcare, not just in our region, but around the world. Taiwan has a great level of expertise, and they have the mechanisms to deliver. And therefore, I want to speak up for the Republic of China once again that in helping us to establish the state-of-the-art facility in the Caribbean, it's demonstrating its willingness and its know-how to contribute to the advancement of peoples all across the world. Put your hands together for the Republic of China, Taiwan. And Ambassador Lin, I want you to convey to your president on my behalf, on our behalf, our deep appreciation for this collaborative effort. And when he visits, he will be able to visit this hospital. That I told him when I was there, and we are on track to achieve that. So I'm very immensely proud of that. Let me also say that I want to thank my cabinet colleagues, because this is a cabinet effort as well from the political level, for their strong, unwavering support in reaching this point. They are dedicated, as I am, to ensure that there is good healthcare delivery to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And so, colleagues, I want to thank all of you very, very much. Put your hands together for my cabinet colleagues. And as I draw to a close, I want to say that this facility will be built by local people, as the OECC has said. This will provide a lot of jobs of varying skill levels. It will have an impact on our economy. It would have an impact on the local economy specifically, on families, and of course, on the country on a whole. So this will help all of us here in St. Kitts and Nevis, whether directly or indirectly. And I want to thank the OECC and all involved in ensuring and guaranteeing that our people will be on the ground to ensure that this is built. Let me thank the Ambassador Leon Natter Nelson. I handed this over to him because I know he can deliver. This is a huge project, a landmark project, and he is a young man that I believed and we believed in Cabinet has the capacity to carry this forward. And he has. It's a lot of work that goes into this from all different aspects, from the legal aspects to the acquisition of the land appropriately, to the funding aspect, to engaging the contractors, to engaging our people, to engaging the geotechnical people and the people to get the land ready. He has worked and continues to work on every level of this project. I can't thank him enough. And because I feel secured that this is in the hands of a capable soul, I can sleep a little longer. They say I used to call 5 o'clock in the morning, but my call 4 o'clock, but my calls have now extended to 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock because of people like Dr. Natter. No. So they said to me, because Dr. G, you have a new life now, but I want to also submit is because competent people are working and making it less strenuous for me. So Dr. Ambassador Natter, thank you very, very much for your service. I also want to thank Al, who is here, and Victor, local people or regional people. They have been working tirelessly hard with OECC, who is the lead on this, to ensure that we get to the point where we get. They are committed to delivering an institution that would be an institution that will be the model of the region. And I want to thank them very much, very, very much for their tremendous dedication and continued hard work to this project. Thank you. And so there are so many people to thank, and I want to thank all of you. But to finally say that this national hospital project is being delivered by the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party government. Because we believe in the good that we can do. And we believe fundamentally, as Joseph and France believed and lived, that healthcare is not a privilege, but is a human right. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've had it from the boss, the Honorable Prime Minister, and the leader for the Ministry of Health. Let me just bring the curtains down by thanking a number of persons who would have been behind the scenes and entities, would have had of course, Pastor Connor would have done the invocation this afternoon. Cabinet of St. Kitts and Nevis, and I can tell you when I visited the cabinet this week, I think St. Kitts and Nevis is blessed to have a cabinet that is so united and dedicated to the hard work that it has been doing. In fact, the interest that it showed in this project, as I said, they had started us for about 30 minutes, and then they said, no, it's about 2.5 hours. So I want to thank the cabinet sincerely for that experience and exposure. Of course, I want to thank the Honorable Prime Minister for leading in this project, the Republic of China on Taiwan and through Ambassador Lin, the OECC, Mr. Victor Williams, Al, the Williams brothers who were responsible for doing the borehole testing, which is a very important aspect of this whole project, Ambassador Natter Nelson, the Ministry of Finance, don't forget them because they would have provided the sign-off. I have to make sure I'm very good to them. The project is not completed as yet. So Mr. Via Harris of the Ministry of Health, a finance officer, he's very sharp in my ministry as well. The building board, I want to thank the building board for the approval. All staff members and leadership of the Ministry of Health, the National Caribbean Insurance, P.S. Chesdor from the Ministry of Sustainable Development, she was very instrumental as well. Sylvester Anthony, I did say NCI, I hope. The media, SKNIS, technical staff. Let me say something about SKNIS technical staff. Late last year, we had the endoscopic surgeons had their 12th conference here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And they told me 3 things. 1, they've gotten the best hospitality so far. 2, they have seen the best government support in their conferences here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And 3, they spoke about the fact that the quality of the work produced by our local SK and SKNIS team, technical team. See them behind there? They had every single piece of equipment, and the only thing they rented was 2 speakers, just like that. And the rest was in-house. We were standing in a room just like this, Marriott, just over there, and you could have seen the surgeons operating live at JNF. The only thing you could not do is smell what was happening, but it was so live, it was so real. And they said that the crisp and clear production is of a world-class standard. So I want to give SKNIS a big round of applause. And I can tell you in St. Kitts and Nevis, just as the Ministry of Health, we do not have a shortage of talent at all. We have a lot of talented people. It's just to harness that in the right direction and to give people an opportunity to learn and grow. Of course, I also want to thank the St. Kitts Marriott for entertaining us. I want to thank the members of the media and to thank all of you, and anybody that I missed, I do apologize, but I want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart for being here this evening. Thank you for your patience. Drive safely and do have a wonderful evening.